Peace. This is Boss from Wise Words Media back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, Canelo Alvarez has got to be the corniest, most lame fighter of all time. This dude, not to mention the most overrated, but you want to talk about lame? You want to talk about a cornball? So this dude, right, after the William Scull fight, and William Scull, all he did pretty much was move around, right? But he gonna go say after the fight, I hate fighting people with this style. Hold on, dude. You hate fighting people with that style, but you had somebody with the exact opposite style in David Benavidez that's been waiting to fight you for like 3 years, and you ran away. You jumped through different weight classes just to avoid him. That man doesn't run. He doesn't have that style that you hate. He don't have that style. But you choose this William Scull guy. Why? Because you knew he was gonna do just that. That's exactly what you wanted. Don't come up here talking about after the fight, I hate people that have this style of fighting. I hate fighting people like this. You chose to fight that guy. You chose to fight him. I don't want to hear, oh, he was mandatory or whatever. I don't want to hear none of that, because David Benavidez was your mandatory for 3 years. 3 years, and you ignored that simple fact that he was your mandatory. You did not choose to fight him for 3 years. 3 years went by, and you fought people in different weight classes. You did whatever you could to avoid the Mexican monster. And now you want to come up here talking about, I hate fighting people like this, that they move and they run around. Dude, I know a couple people that are not going to run around. One of them, David Benavidez. Another one, Dmitry Bivol. I got a third one for you, Arthur Beterbiev. Yo, you can even throw David Morrell in there. David Morrell's going to let that thing crack. So there's no such thing as I hate fighting this style when you chose this style. This was your choice. You had plenty of options of guys that would have gave you that phone booth style, stood right in front of you, toe-to-toe, bang-bang, Mexican style. You had people like that. But what did you do? You chose to run away. You have never, ever yet even, like what he said, when David Benavidez was his mandatory and they were starting to ask him a lot about David Benavidez, and he just finished fighting another cab driver. What did he say? He said something like, look, I don't fight Mexican fighters. I represent Mexico. I don't fight Mexican fighters. You don't fight Mexican fighters, but then like a year later, he fights Jaime Munguia. You see what I'm saying? He said whatever he could to avoid that fight with David Benavidez. You don't fight Mexican fighters, you represent Mexico, but then a year later, you fight Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia is as Mexican as it gets because he's born in Mexico. David Benavidez, he's born in the USA. He's Ecuadorian. What's the excuse? But he used that excuse when they asked him about David Benavidez that he don't fight Mexicans. So don't complain that you don't like a certain fighter's style if that's the style that you're gonna choose. You're at a position in your career, you're one of the faces of boxing. You could pick whoever you want to fight. You could pick, if you really wanted the Benavidez fight, that fight could have happened 2-3 years ago. But you don't want that fight. So stop fronting. And the only reason he's picking Terence Crawford is because Terence Crawford is smaller than him. Even though Terence Crawford will sit there and crack or probably box, like Crawford said, it'll depend how it feels that night. You know, he'll fill out Canelo. He'll see how that fight goes. If he feels that Canelo is, you know, like if this is the type of fight he has to box more, he'll box. He says if he feels he could, you know, withstand some of the punching power, he'll bang. But the only reason he's picking him is because Terence Crawford is 2 weight classes south. 2 weight class, not one. It's not one. It's not We're not talking about from super middleweight to middleweight. We're talking about junior middleweight. One's a super middleweight, the other one's a junior middleweight. And the other one that's a junior middleweight, he just turned junior middleweight. He only had like one fight at junior middleweight. So, you know, he's a borderline welterweight. Going up 2 weight classes, and Canelo wouldn't even meet him halfway, like, yo, you know what, let's do a catch weight. This ain't like he could have went, hey, let's go 164 or something like that, because Crawford's at 154. Let's go 164. You go 10 pounds up, I go 4 pounds down. No, this guy he wants the complete weight advantage. And for those of y'all that are gonna say, oh well, he stood in front of Terence Crawford and Terence Crawford was taller. Again, like I've told y'all in the past, with the Jermell Charlo fight against Canelo, height there's not height classes in boxing, it's weight classes. It's weight classes for a reason. If height was to determine weight classes, or that people are on the same level playing field, then Sebastian Fundora should be a heavyweight, because Sebastian Fundora is probably the tallest fighter in boxing, or one of. So he shouldn't even be campaigning at 154. He should be a heavyweight, because he's taller than almost every fighter weight classes above him. So it's not about height, it's about muscle mass. And that's why it's weight. How much muscle mass, which will equate to power in the ring. That's what's supposed to make it a level playing field. And Terence Crawford is nothing. There's nowhere near the weight of Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is a guy that's been reported weighing close to 200 pounds in his walk-around weight. Terence Crawford probably walks around at 165, if anything. He probably walks around like 165. And here you have a Canelo that's been reported at like 190, close to 200 pounds. So don't make no sense. But yeah, we'll watch the fight. I know I'm hoping that Crawford pulls the upset, but I'm not even going down that route, because there's weight classes for a reason. You always hear me say that. How many fights do we see? Oh, they sell, what they're doing is selling names. We've seen fights where they sell names, and next thing you know, when the fight happens, you're like, yeah, the guy was too small. It happens so often. There's not many times where you could be like, somebody goes up in weight class and they go 2 weight classes up, and you're like, oh, okay, this person showed that the weight didn't matter. No, the weight usually matters, and it usually ruins careers. Look what happened to Kell Brook when he fought Golovkin. Golovkin massacred him, and Kell Brook was never the same after that. So that's the type of stuff that can happen. Look at Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo has not been in the ring since that September fight last year with Canelo Alvarez. Like you're gambling with your career. But at this point, I guess Terence Crawford is almost at the point of retirement, so he's probably like, yo, you know what, let me go for the big one. And the biggest one right now for him in his weight, in the neighborhood of his weight class, because the biggest names are Canelo, Tank, Inoue. These are like the A-class names, the faces of boxing, you can say. And Tank's way too small. Inoue's is way even smaller. So the only big name that's closer to his weight class is Canelo, but not the type of fight that is level in any capacity. But that's all I got to say for now. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.